In Lab07, what we're going to be doing is making what we call like a clapper. So if you watch the video, you can see that. And the idea behind it is you're going to have this microphone element, right? And we build it up. This goes to ground. And we put this through what we call a preamplifier. So it adds about a gain of 10 onto whatever our little microphone signal is right here. So then it becomes 10 times bigger, right? And then we feed this into our 3008, which is an analog input chip, which then converts it to digital, which then feeds that to the Raspberry Pi right here. And then we can make decisions based off of this. So it's actually, a lot of the code we're going to be using is very, very similar to last time. The thing we want to do is we want to keep track of, this is another situation very similar to Lab 5 and 4 and 3 actually, where we're using the idea of state machines, where you're going to start off with one LED being on. After one sound event, you're going to hop to the next LED. And then after another sound event, you'll hop to the next LED. And then after another sound event, you'll hop to the next LED. So there's let's do 3 LEDs. Sorry, I take that back. And then after the next sound event, you're going to actually just go to like a nothing state, and then you'll hop into the first LED again. So there's going to be 4 states, and there's names specified in the lab that what they should be, but you're going to be going from none to the first LED to the second to the third, and just sort of going in a loop. So as you clap, it's going to detect an event and move. All right. The things, if we go to the code now, and watch the video also, by the way, for explanations, or so you understand what I'm saying. If we go to the code, again, we import stuff at the beginning, set up our pins, set up 3, 4, 17, and 27 as outputs for LEDs, set up our SPI communication. This is how the analog input works. Initially, we set all the pins to be 0, so this is good. And then I have a variable which I've given you called state. Okay, we're going to say it's 0. And that's going to go from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 is the idea. Our main loop is down here, like it almost always is. The thing we're going to be doing before we start that loop, so remember, this code goes in order, we're going to come up with a list called readings, and then I'm going to take 100 readings off of my channel, you can see, and then build them up, and then I'm going to calculate a variable called ambient. So ambient is going to be sum of readings over the len of readings, and of course, if we think about that, that we're summing and then dividing by the number, that's averaging. This is the arithmetic average. So we're coming up with an ambient, like basically a background reading for our analog signal, because our microphone, even when it's not being spoken into or clapped at or something, will be generating a signal. So we want to know what the room temperature of noise is, in a sense, okay? Because our claps and our loud sounds are going to be deviations from that. We want to be able to compare to that, okay? So you're going to have this ambient, and what you're going to want to do then is 2 things. One is you're going to, in this while true loop, you're going to get a microphone signal in, compare that to the ambient signal, and then if it passes a certain amount of threshold, let's say, and that's a threshold you're going to need to experiment with, okay, to get it working. I'm not going to tell you what that is. If it has passed that threshold, then it should change the state, okay? And then after it's changed the state, you want to wait a little bit, okay? So the idea here, just to be clear, is you're going to sort of listen and then check, okay? And then if it is, if check is good, change your state, okay? And you have to change it appropriately. Remember, we're going to go from state 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 back to 0, okay, which correspond to no LEDs, LED 1, LED 2, LED 3, then back around again, okay? So you're going to maybe need to do something with like the modulo or something, whatever. If you check, and it is event, let's say, which would be a sound event, change the state. Otherwise, just, go back around, all right? In order to implement the state changes, right, we're going to have another function which we call state to LED right here. And this function's job is to take in the state. This is a pretty simple function to write, I think, for you now at this point, but it's supposed to take in the state and then decide what LEDs, if any, to light up. So really it's going to be, if this is a 0, nothing gets lit up. And if it's a 1, it's going to be something, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't really actually have to return anything, just to keep that in mind. And this is just going to be running and running, okay? And so check out the video, see how it's working, and if you have questions, post in the forum.